The Yellowstone supervolcano is one of the most powerful forces on the planet, and for years it has been quiet, but now it is showing signs of awakening after 70,000 years. Scientists are taking notice, but why? And what does it really mean for our world today? In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into recent events at Yellowstone and the discovery of the supervolcano swarm. But before we do, don't forget to hit that like button for more videos. Let's get started. Yellowstone National Park is one of the most beautiful places on Earth. It's home to thousands of plant and animal species, including herds of bison, wolves, and bears. It also contains some of the most active geothermal features on the planet. But it's not just Yellowstone. There are other supervolcanoes around the world that have the potential to cause mass destruction. So what exactly is a supervolcano and how do they work? A supervolcano is a massive volcanic center that has had an eruption magnitude of 8 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, or VEI. This means that these volcanoes are capable of ejecting over 1,000 cubic kilometers of material during an eruption. That's a lot of material. For context, the VEI measures the explosiveness of volcanic eruptions based on the volume of material ejected and the eruption height. The index ranges from 1 to 8, with 8 being the most explosive. For example, Mount St. Helens in Washington state had a VEI rating of 5, while the eruption of Krakatoa in Indonesia in 1883 had a rating of 6. But how do these volcanoes form and where do they come from? Supervolcanoes form when magma chambers that are located deep beneath the Earth's surface rupture and release enormous amounts of energy. When this happens, the magma chambers collapse and the roofs of the underground magma chambers break apart, causing large volumes of gas and ash to be released into the atmosphere. These eruptions are so powerful that they can cause global climate change, tsunamis, and widespread devastation. Now let's talk about Yellowstone. Located in the northwest corner of the United States, Yellowstone is one of the most famous supervolcanoes in the world. It is actually a supervolcano caldera, meaning that it is the remnant of a collapsed magma chamber. The park itself is home to a variety of geothermal features, including geysers, hot springs, and fumaroles. These features are the result of magma that is still present beneath the surface of the park. The most famous of these features is Old Faithful, a geyser that erupts every 90 minutes or so. But Old Faithful is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface of Yellowstone, there is a vast reservoir of magma that is just waiting to be released. For years, scientists have been monitoring Yellowstone closely to try to predict when it might erupt again. In 2018, a study published in the journal Science Advances suggested that Yellowstone could be due for an eruption soon. The study's authors analyzed ice cores from the Law Dome in Antarctica and found that there had been a significant increase in volcanic activity in the region around Yellowstone. This increase occurred in 3 phases, one around 13,600 years ago, another around 8,500 years ago, and the third and largest phase starting around 2,500 years ago and continuing until today. According to the study's authors, this uptick in volcanic activity suggests that Yellowstone may be entering a more active phase. If Yellowstone were to erupt today, the consequences would be devastating. Ash and debris would blanket much of the western United States, causing widespread crop failure and respiratory problems. Pyroclastic flows would race down the sides of the volcano, incinerating everything in their path, and lava would flow for hundreds of miles, destroying everything in its path. Fortunately, such an eruption is extremely unlikely to occur anytime soon. However, there is another possibility that scientists are keeping a close eye on. Some experts believe that multiple volcanoes could erupt at once in a so-called supervolcano swarm. A supervolcano swarm is a series of volcanic eruptions that occur at the same time within a relatively small area. These eruptions can be caused by the movement of magma beneath the Earth's surface or by changes in the pressure of the surrounding rock. The result is a chain reaction of eruptions that can release massive amounts of energy and material into the atmosphere. But why would this happen? Well, it turns out that there is a theory that explains it all. The hotspot theory states that there are areas within the Earth's mantle where hot molten rock is rising toward the surface. As the rock approaches the surface, it creates a bulge in the crust, which eventually melts through and forms a volcano. As the mantle plume continues to rise, new volcanoes are formed along the path of least resistance. This process can create a chain of volcanoes known as a volcanic province. One example of a volcanic province is the Columbia River Basalt Group in the Pacific Northwest. This group of volcanoes is the result of a mantle plume that has been active for the past 17 million years. The most recent eruption of the hotspot occurred in eastern Oregon, forming a volcano called Steen's Mountain. But the hotspot theory doesn't just explain the formation of individual volcanoes. It can also help us understand supervolcano swarms. When a mantle plume reaches the surface, the heat and pressure can cause nearby magma chambers to rupture and release their contents. This can trigger a chain reaction of eruptions, resulting in a supervolcano swarm. For example, the Yellowstone supervolcano swarm that occurred 17 million years ago was likely triggered by the arrival of a mantle plume. So, what does this mean for Yellowstone? Well, it means that the supervolcano isn't just one volcano, but rather a system of interconnected volcanoes that could erupt simultaneously. If this were to happen, the consequences would be dire. The entire region would be covered in ash and debris, disrupting global weather patterns and causing widespread crop failure. But fortunately, it's not likely to happen anytime soon. Scientists are constantly monitoring Yellowstone for signs of increased activity. They use a variety of techniques to do this, including seismic monitoring, GPS surveying, and satellite imagery. So far, nothing has indicated that a supervolcano swarm is imminent. However, it's important to remember that Yellowstone is a dynamic system and things can change quickly. If you want to learn more about supervolcanoes, there are several resources available online. The United States Geological Survey has a website dedicated to Yellowstone National Park that provides up-to-date information on the volcano's activity. You can also find great information on the website of the Smithsonian Institution's Global Volcanism Program. Supervolcanoes are incredibly powerful forces of nature, and understanding them better helps us to better protect ourselves against their potential dangers. With continued research and monitoring, we can continue to learn more about these amazing geological features and the processes that drive them. And that's it for today's video. We hope you enjoyed learning more about supervolcanoes and the potential danger they pose to our world. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.